And we're back. Good afternoon. We are live on the floor of the 55th Annual AEA Convention. I'm Tom Patton. Jim Campbell has relinquished his seat, maybe a little bit grudgingly, but we'll find out when he comes back. And I'm talking right now with Mike Adamson. Mike is the Vice President for Member Programs and Education with AEA. Mike, thanks for joining us on Aero-TV.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Let's talk first of all about some of the scholarship programs, because I know that there's been a lot of money that's been given to a lot of students over the course of this show. So tell us a little bit about your scholarship programs, where they come from, and the kind of good they do.
Okay. Yeah, the AEA Educational Foundation has been in business for a little over 20 years. And over the course of those 20 years, we've given away more than $1 million in funds to literally hundreds of students. And the funding for the program typically comes from sponsors you'll see here on the show floor. A lot of the major OEMs are our sponsors. We also do a little bit of fundraising through our silent auction and donations of equipment. You know, some of the goodies that are for sale find their way onto our auction tables, and so we have people bid on those and whatnot, and that generates some funds as well. So we've got many different resources to tap and give away these scholarships to aspiring students.
What kind of scholarships are they?
Well, obviously we're avionics focused, but knowing that a lot of the careers start through a Part 147 aircraft and power plant program at a number of the different schools. We have 55 to 60 academic members of the association. A lot of them have Part 147 programs. We recognize that, and so the awards go not only for the avionics technicians that may be going through those programs, but also through the regular AMT, the maintenance programs that those schools have. So it depends, but it's primarily the technical or the technician side of the industry. Now, at the same time, because we're an association, we also value learning to fly. And so if you're a member technician with a repair station that's a member, you can also apply for a Learning to Fly scholarship. Sporty's sponsors a couple of those, and then the association has two of their own that we sponsor, and it's $3,500 for those 4 awards to learn to fly, because it's important to understand the other side of the panel as well.
Right.
And then we have 2 programs for dependents or actual individuals within AEA member companies that may be seeking higher education. So.
And how much money do you normally give away on an annual basis?
It's typically $100,000 or more. It depends on tuition at some of the schools that drive that number, but $100,000 to about 25 different award recipients.
And let's just get the rest of the housekeeping out of the way.
Okay.
How do folks then, if somebody hears this, wants to apply for one of those scholarships, what do they do? Okay,
real easy. Around about October time frame, we publish the new application and put it on our website, aea.net/scholarship. And it's a simple application that you fill out, and you've got until February to complete it, February of each year, and then that obviously puts you in the queue for us to evaluate the scholarships, make the announcements by convention like we just did this Wednesday, and get our scholarships announced and then actually awarded before the start of the next academic year. So for instance, we made an announcement on Wednesday. These awards will go for students who are starting the 2012-2013 school year.
When you talk about the kids that are coming in that are looking at becoming avionics technicians, what kind of kids are you seeing, and how do you get them enthusiastic about working on airplane parts as opposed to developing apps for an iPad?
Right. Good, excellent question. We see all kinds of students, first of all, because we see them, many of them have an early interest in aviation from something their parents do, or from, maybe they're involved in the industry already somehow. Maybe they've been going to Oshkosh for a number of years. So we certainly have those that know what they want to do right out of school. We also have career changers, a lot of technical folks in different industries that have always had a passion for airplanes, but didn't know there was a vocation tied to it. So we see all sorts of students, but obviously our primary focus is on attracting younger students into the field, and we certainly would like to have those app developers because we contend that those skills are now at play in aviation and certainly aircraft electronics, software development, that sort of thing. the technology that's in these cabins and cockpits certainly could make good use of your app developing skills. We're seeing a lot of that show up in our airplanes. So anybody with a computer interest, video game interests, software development interest, we've got something for you.
Well, and particularly when you're seeing so many iPad applications and Android applications that are developed specifically for the aviation market.
Yeah, it's obviously that's a lot of the news that you'll hear this week is something tied to the tablet world and whatnot, and obviously that's a big part of it. Obviously we focus a lot on the certified equipment as well, and how those two interact. But the software development and that background, or software engineering, plays in both worlds. So if you have any interest in that, you certainly have a place in avionics.
We talked a little bit before we came on live about the UAS market as well. And you said that was something that perhaps the association in general needs to look at a little bit more in depth.
Absolutely, yeah. It's there's so many crossover segments for aircraft and electronics, and obviously that's one of them from a military standpoint, and now sort of in the civilian marketplace as well. And so we do have members that develop products for them, for that market, and we certainly have members that service and install that product or those products. So yeah, that's something we've got to focus on. I've got to educate myself on it as well. I've got a military background, but it was long before UAS, so I've got to do some education as well and focus on that. And I think there's a lot of skill, as we talked about, that translates from this virtual world that these kids are so used to, into the UAS world, and I think it might be a nice market for us to focus on.
Well, I'm a little bit older than you, and I still recall when I was flying my flight simulators on my computer at home, and I'm seeing a lot of that same technology now show up in a cockpit, not only on an iPad, but actually in a panel.
Yeah.
And so you can see where there's a lot of that crossover. This is a very interesting thing. You said member programs as well, and I want to touch on some of those things as well. What are some of the member benefits and programs that are available to AEA members? Okay,
well, we pride ourselves on managing repairs, or assisting managers manage their repair station. So many of them are technicians at heart, and technicians by nature, but there's this whole business aspect. And the association has really, over the years, helped them run their businesses. In fact, our member of the year, Jim Jobert with Pacific Southwest Instruments, he mentioned that today in his acceptance speech. He said, over the years, you helped me transition from a technician to a business manager through the resources of the association. And our programs are focused just on that, helping you manage your business, helping you do your business more effectively, more cost effectively, and more efficiently, so you can go back and fix airplanes and sell products. And so we gear our programs from a regulatory standpoint and from a technical standpoint on satisfying, first of all, your government requirements for training, and then making you a better business owner. And there's all sorts of seminars. We have more than 80 hours of training this week from a technical and professional development standpoint, that should make you a better repair station owner and manager. And not to say that everything's geared towards those members. We also have associate members that fill this exhibit hall, and we focus on helping them as well, from understanding regulations with certifying equipment, as well as import and export. There's hazardous material courses. There's all sorts of things that we try and find for every little piece of all of our members' businesses.
So your membership then, it would seem, runs the gamut from the one-person shop all the way up to a Garmin, Avidyne, AirCell, those kinds of things.
Yeah. We we're 1,300 strong, and the primary number is a repair station, certified repair station, throughout 44 countries in the world. And then the rest of the membership is made up of the distributors and associate members, which are manufacturers and distributors as well. So.
Mike Adamson, thank you very much for taking some time to talk with us here on Aero-TV. Been very enlightening, and I really appreciate a chance to get to know a little bit more about some of the back office side of the association.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
We're going to come back in just a little bit, and we're going to be talking with Floyd Roney of Becker Avionics. We've also got Todd Winter from Mid-Continent Instruments and Avionics. So that's all yet ahead. Jim Campbell and I will be back in just a little bit to wrap up what we've seen, some of our observations of this AEA convention here in Washington, D.C. Going to take a short break. Be back in just a moment. We are live from the floor of the AEA convention, the 55th annual show on Aero-TV.
Aero-TV's live coverage of the 55th Annual AEA International Convention and Trade Show is brought to you in part by the following sponsors.